Well, good evening, councillors, staff, presenters, and online viewers. Begin tonight's meeting with the acknowledgement that the land on which we are gathered is in the traditional territories of the Anishinaabe. We would also like to acknowledge the North Channel Métis Council. We say miigwech to thank Indigenous people for taking care of this land from time immemorial. We are called to treat this land, its plants, animals, stories, and its people with honor and respect. Prior to beginning this evening's agenda, I would ask that each councillor who is present via this video conferencing to answer the roll call when I call your name. Deputy Mayor Summers.
Present.
Councillor Betty Ann Dunbar.
Present.
Councillor Jim Dunbar.
Here.
Councillor Stephen Roy.
Present.
Sorry, Stephen Wells, but I'm getting ahead of myself here.
We're both here. We're both here.
And Councillor H.P. Roy.
Present.
And Councillor Jennifer Postorero.
Present.
Congratulations to the management and employees of Cameco Corporation on receiving a 10-year renewal on the nuclear fuel facility license from the Canadian Nuclear Safety Commission. This says a lot about Cameco and the attention to ensuring that everyone is working in a safe environment. A copy of the decision is included in tonight's agenda. For those who wish to see the information session or any of Council's sessions held, you can go to the Town of Blind River website, click on Town Hall, and then Council, Agenda, and Meetings. You will find a link to all the Zoom recorded meetings, including in the information session, as well as our council meetings. And it's pretty interesting going back in time because everything is recorded. So now, without further ado, turning to tonight's agenda, we had an opportunity to review the agenda, and there is no addendum to the agenda. I have a motion from Deputy Mayor Summers, seconded by Councillor H.P. Roy. Be it resolved that Council approve the agenda, the closed meeting agenda as presented. All in favor of this motion? And that's carried. Thank you. And are there any declarations of pecuniary interest? Councillor Betty Ann Dunbar.
I will be declaring a conflict of interest on the closed agenda 1.2.1, the committee appointment.
Duly noted. Thank you for that. And I have a motion from Councillor Betty Ann Dunbar, seconded by Councillor Postorero. Be it resolved that Council adopt the minutes of the regular council meeting of February 7th, 2022, and the minutes of the public council meeting of February 7th, 2022, as presented. All in favor of this motion? And that's carried. Thank you. And is there any business coming out of those meeting minutes the council wishes to discuss? Seeing no hands going up, well, I will be very happy to recognize Katie Blunt, who is the Executive Director of Habitat for Humanity, and Chelsea as well for Habitat for Humanity Sault Ste. Marie. And the floor is yours. We look forward to your presentation.
Thank you, Madam Mayor and Council, for allowing us the opportunity to speak here this evening. I'd like to introduce my colleague, Chelsea Fouché, who is the Marketing and Fundraising Coordinator. And I'm joining you this evening as the Executive Director with Habitat in Sault Ste. Marie and area. We have prepared a short presentation. I believe I have screen sharing capabilities. Bear with me just one moment. Wonderful. Can everyone see that?
Yes, we can.
Wonderful, awesome. Okay, so our presentation this evening will be an introduction to Habitat, what the organization is and what it does, where we work. We've developed a bit of an agenda to follow just to keep us on track. So we're going to start with who we are, what the organization does, and where we work currently, why we exist, and then how we go about actually completing our mission. All the pictures you'll see throughout the presentation, for the most part, are pictures of houses and families that we have served in the Sault Ste. Marie area. So who we are. We are a nonprofit charitable organization. Our mission is to bring communities together to help local families build strength, stability, and self-reliance through affordable home ownership. So our main goal is to help families that have barriers to traditional market home ownership access that goal of owning their own home. And we have a vision where we have a world where everyone has a safe and decent place that they can call home. We have two main programs that we operate. In Sault Ste. Marie, we focus primarily on our affordable home ownership program. And this contains, essentially, we construct new houses that meet the needs of the families. We service those families through a Habitat mortgage. In Sault Ste. Marie, we have done the classic home ownership mortgage, where it is no down payment, no interest, and it's geared to income. We also have all of our homeowners complete 7 education modules prior to moving into their house. The purpose of that education module or this program is to prepare them for the responsibilities associated with home ownership. So it talks about budgeting, talks about house insurance, it talks about how to maintain your home, how to be a good neighbor, and various other aspects. The other program that we run, we've done it less often in Sault Ste. Marie, we've only done 2, is the home repair and renovation program. So this focuses on houses that are owned by families that might have income limitations or income barriers to maintaining their home. So they already own the house, but for instance, maybe through no fault of their own, they've experienced a layoff or someone has been injured and they're unable to work for a time being, and they have a critical repair that has to be completed. For example, windows or a roof needs to be repaired, or a family has an accessibility requirement. They might apply to Habitat. Habitat would then provide them with a no interest loan and provide the work to do that repair. So in Sault Ste. Marie, we've done 2 of these. One was we repaired a roof for a family, and the other one was a family that had an accessibility need, and they required a ramp to be built so that they could access their home. So those are the 2 programs that we currently operate. You might be familiar with the continuum, the housing continuum. On one side, you have individuals who are experiencing homelessness. On the other side, you have traditional home ownership. So those are families that they go through a financial lending institution and they purchase a home on the market. Where Habitat works is right here. So this is the affordable home ownership section. So what that means is it's individuals who are prepared and ready to take on the responsibilities of home ownership, but they have barriers to accessing a traditional mortgage. So for example, they might not have enough employment history for the bank to actually demonstrate that they have sufficient income coming in on a regular basis. They might have had a more risky credit, for instance, and they're not able to access a mortgage. Habitat provides families that have barriers to this traditional mortgage the opportunity to move into home ownership through our financial support. So we're actually the lender in most of the instances. So we are not only the contractor that builds the house, we're not only preparing them through our social service program for the responsibilities of home ownership, but we also are the lender in this example. So where we actually work, we work all over the world, 70 countries Habitat for Humanity operates in, and we operate in every province and territory in Canada. But in Sault Ste. Marie, we began in 2002, and we have since served 13 families. Our 14th is pending, and we are building a 15th home this coming year. In preparation for this meeting and our outreach across the Algoma district, Chelsea and I looked at the census. And what we noticed was that in the Algoma district, compared to Sault Ste. Marie proper, residents in the Algoma district tend to earn less income, but you actually pay a higher proportion of your income to your shelter needs. So you're earning less and you're spending more. We also noticed that you have a higher proportion of dwellings that are in need of major repair. So a lot of the families, a lot of the residents in the outskirts in the Algoma district, they own their own home, but they might not earn sufficient income to maintain that house to a decent standard. So they have this opportunity to build equity for themselves, their families, their future. But if they're not able to maintain it, then you can get yourself into a very precarious situation. So why does Habitat exist? Why do we do this? I'm sure most people know the benefits that come along with a stable house, a stable roof over your head, a healthy and adequate and appropriate home. But there's a very big need for affordable home ownership. There's unpredictable rent increases, especially now with the pandemic. We see this more than ever. The cost of owning a home, the cost of even renting an apartment is becoming out of reach for many hardworking families. A lot of families are living in inadequate, unsafe, or inaccessible housing. It doesn't meet the needs. They might be a 5-person family living in a 2-person or a 2-bedroom house, right? They're in inadequate situations. And a lot of these families, even though they might have employment, they're not able to save for a down payment because they're paying for their rent, they're paying for their car, they're paying for their insurance. The regular costs that go along with just living doesn't leave anything left at the end of the month that they could actually put money towards a down payment. The benefits to our program are substantive. We did a program, or we did an analysis with a consultant in 2015. This is for all of Canada, but the Boston Consulting Group found that Habitat families are healthier, they're more confident, and they're more financially stable. Their children are more likely to attend post-secondary education. Their families have more improved employment outcomes, and they're more active community members. That same consulting group found that for every dollar invested into our home ownership program, the community that we build in sees a $4 return on social investment. And that could be, reduced reliance on food banks, reduced reliance on social services programs, or government transfers. Additionally, every Habitat home we build, it provides about $175,000 worth of benefits to that local community. So these are just some of the benefits that come along with our program and that come along with home ownership in general. How we actually accomplish our mission is through partnerships. We would not be able to do this without the support of the government, without the support of local and national businesses that provide us with gift-in-kind donations, material donations, monetary donations. Again, our volunteers are crucial. They're at the heart of everything we do. They help us from, they help us at the Restore, they help us on committees, they help us on our board of directors, and our homeowners themselves help us. Every single Habitat mortgage that's paid to us, we put it into a fund for humanity. This is an internally restricted fund, so we are not able to use it for anything other than building more houses. So as families pay their mortgage down, they're actually helping us to build more houses for families in need. And of course, our donors are integral to our partnerships and our success as well. You may be familiar with the Habitat Restore. This is our social enterprise. So it is a home and building supply store. We receive new and gently used donations, and we sell them to the community at a fraction of the retail value. So after we've paid all of our operational expenses with the Restore revenue generated through these sales, everything left over goes towards our home ownership program. So this is another integral component of our success and how we're able to fund our builds. So who benefits from the Restore? Our homeowners, of course, our community donors, the volunteers that work there and help us to operate the business, the customers that come in and get great deals, the environment, because we are also reducing the amount of waste that goes to the landfill, and retailers as well, because when they have return to vendor product, it often comes to us instead of being sent back. So we help in many different ways with our restore. And last but not least, chapters. So this is why we're here today. Chapters are essentially, they're a group of active service-oriented volunteers who agree to champion the construction of a Habitat home outside of Sault Ste. Marie. So these individuals are very community-minded. They want to see people survive and thrive in their communities and help them into the dream of home ownership. Habitat for Humanity, the affiliate, supports these chapters in many different ways, including providing them with support to get going, providing them with the opportunity to connect with donors, and to facilitate those connections with our different partners. And how will Habitat chapters deliver our services? The delivery of Habitat services relies on building partnerships with social services, community leaders, corporate sponsors, donors, and future Habitat homeowners. It's very important that we emphasize that all of the funds raised from chapters or from restores in different communities outside Sault Ste. Marie, that stays in the communities themselves. So we want to ensure that anything, if Blind River was interested in pursuing a chapter, anything that's raised through Blind River's chapter would stay in Blind River to help us build houses for the community members. And that is the conclusion of our presentation, and we're very excited to answer any questions. If I am not able to answer your question for whatever reason, I will certainly look into it and get back to you.
Thank you, Katie. If you could just stop the screen sharing portion, thank you. That way I can see all of the hands as council is endeavoring to ask questions. And our first question is coming from Councillor Stephen Wells.
So thank you for your presentation, Katie. I have a couple of questions for you. My first one is, do you always build new houses, or do you ever acquire a used house and restore it?
Through you, Madam Mayor, to Councillor Wells. We have not in Sault Ste. Marie restored a house. At this point, we have constructed all new houses, and that it's for a number of different reasons, but for the most part, the unexpected costs associated with renovating. We've had such great success with our partners, it's actually more cost effective for us to build new.
Go ahead, Councillor Wells.
No, thank you, Mayor Hagman. Second question is that when you build the houses, I'm assuming, like, obviously they're built to code, but you take climate change into consideration when you're building the houses as well?
Through you, Madam Mayor, to Councillor Wells, we do. All of our houses are built to reduce our energy consumption by 25% compared to the National Building Code. We also reduce our greenhouse gas emissions. So on our last build on Wellington Street West in Sault Ste. Marie, we reduced our greenhouse gas emissions by 1.5 tons. Our greenhouse gas emissions were 1.5 tons compared to 2.5 tons is where the National Building Code average would be.
Councillor Wells.
Thank you, Mayor Hagman. And if there is interest in a local chapter, how do you go about setting one up?
Through you, Madam Mayor, to Councillor Wells, we would be happy to meet with interested volunteers or interested community members. We have a memorandum of understanding that we have developed in collaboration with other affiliates that currently run chapter systems. And we'd be happy to go through that with whomever is interested in pursuing a chapter.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Councillor Jim Dunbar.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. And thanks, Katie, for the presentation also. How many chapters do you have outside of Sault Ste. Marie at this moment?
Through you, Madam Mayor, to Councillor Dunbar, we currently have only begun this process of exploring the chapter system outside Sault Ste. Marie. Habitat Canada has granted us approval to work across the Algoma district effective last fall. So we began our community outreach in November, and so we have not officially signed a memorandum with any chapters at this time.
Katie, I have a question for you. Have you reached out to the Algoma District Services Board?
Madam Mayor, we have not been able to set up a meeting at this time.
All right, thank you. I sit on that board, so I will be asking from the other side too. I see no other hands going up from council at this time, so I would like to thank you, Katie, and you, Chelsea, for coming forward, and we have your contact information. Sometimes questions come up after a meeting that we should have, would have, could have asked, but we can always reach you, so this is a good thing, and we look forward to hearing more about Habitat for Humanity in the future.
Thank you, Madam Mayor and councillors, for allowing us the opportunity to be here this evening, and we look forward to connecting again soon.
Great, thank you.
Bye.
And moving on to introduction and consideration of administrative reports from our treasurer, the 2022 budgeted transfer to reserves. I have a motion from Councillor Jim Dunbar, seconded by Councillor Stephen Wells. Be it resolved that council approve the budgeted transfers to reserve. Questions, comments? Seeing none. All in favor of this motion? And that is carried. Thank you. There's no updates on the service delivery review. So moving over to a presentation of committee reports. Protective Services had a meeting on February 8th, 2022. Councillor Wells, is there anything you want to add to tonight's reports?
Thank you, Mayor Hagman. Just for the interest of the viewers, the committee meets there the second Tuesday of every month, and people are welcome to join the meeting. And the committee advises the council with regard to the fire department, bylaws, traffic in town. For example, tonight we have a report, two things coming to the table with regard to health and safety and parking meters. And the committee members I'm on the committee with, and I share that duty with Mayor Hagman and Deputy Mayor Summers. And it's a good committee. We review reports from the fire department, traffic reports, any bylaw information that we need to have, and then we make recommendations to council.
Great, thank you. And our first motion for tonight is moved by Councillor Stephen Wells, seconded by Deputy Mayor Paula Summers. Be it resolved that council authorize the CAO clerk to research the replacement of parking meters for the downtown core, and that 2 Tango metering units be considered in the 2023 budget as recommended by the Protective Services Committee. Questions, comments? Councillor Roy, followed by Councillor Fosterell, followed by Councillor B. Dunbar. Betty Ann Dunbar.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I'm just wondering, the parking meters, how bad a shape are these things in? Because I remember being on council when we replaced them. Don't remember how many years ago it was. I've been here for a little bit now. I was looking at them today. They all look decent. I guess maybe the guts can go on them. As far as aesthetics, if the pipe that they were sitting on or the post was painted the same color as the head, it would match, you know, the black that we're looking for with the street signs and whatnot. So I'm just wondering why the big change if they are still in good condition. Just wondering.
And Mr. Raymond is here to answer your question.
Sorry, my computer's trying to do an update. Okay, here we go. Through you, Madam Mayor. So we have been replacing meters approximately 2 a year. It's more for the health and safety item of getting the posts out of the way for people for when we're snow plowing for public works. And we are looking at a trade-in value for the ones that we have that we can trade into the company, because there are still municipalities out there that are still using those. And that's what we're looking at. It's more to clean up Main Street, to make it easier for the snowplows to get through.
Okay, thank you for that.
Councillor Jennifer Pastoraro.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I have two kind of comments / questions. The first one being, with the recommendation here with the 2 tango meters, I would be concerned that it would be an accessibility issue, having them placed at either ends of the street. So if you park anywhere, you're going to have to walk all the way down, get your little ticket, walk all the way back to your vehicle and place that in your vehicle. So I find that is also an accessibility issue. I definitely understand that we want to beautify our streets. The second part is that, has it ever been considered to just eliminate the parking meters downtown, as we want to attract business to our downtown core and just have free parking instead of paying thousands of dollars a year for parking meters?
And to our Director of Protective Services.
Through you, Madam Mayor. I don't know if it's been looked at in the past for removing the parking meters. I believe it has before my time, and it's always been, they've always been kept there as a revenue to help pay the costs of, some of the snow removal, and we use it to replace signs and other items through our department. I put 2 areas but we're still looking. That's not the defined set of places. We've also thought maybe one by the library, one by Mitchell's, or one in where that little island comes out halfway down the street on the, I guess it's the west side. So we're still looking at areas that we're going to put them. So we're going to make it as easy for people as we can for them to use it. It's the same that we see anywhere in the cities now, where they've cleaned up their sidewalks and they're put in these pay-as-you-go. Also, we'll only have to collect the money when it tells us to. We won't have to go once a week and stop at all these meters to clean them up. It'll tell us when to change the paper. It'll tell us when to empty out the account. We'll also be able to accept credit cards, because a lot of people don't carry cash in their pockets anymore. So the places that we're going to put them are still up for grabs. We're still going to look at that and make it easiest for everyone.
Councillor Pastoraro.
Thank you. And just a follow-up. Yeah, I foresee that at least 2 per side would be necessary to eliminate the accessibility issues. But also, I'm just wondering, with that Corporation Tango, who would be responsible, because they do have quite frequent breakdowns of those machines. So you're not even collecting the revenue for parking. So who would be responsible for maintaining that and ensuring that they're always consistently functioning?
So we would do through you, Madam Mayor, we would do the small maintenance. The other ones would be under warranty for any of the large breakdowns. And this is the same company that we're using for our parking meters. So we're not switching companies. We do have a dialogue with them. Again, this is just to look in to see if we're going to do it for next year. But most of the warranty work would be done, well, all of the warranty work would be done by them. We would do the maintenance, changing the paper, collecting the money, just as we're doing now. We're doing our own maintenance on our parking meters as it is now. And we did remove the 2 that we were going to buy this year out of the budget. We didn't think we should buy 2 new ones if we're going to replace them next year. So what we're doing is we're the meters that have to be repaired, we're stealing parts out of other ones that we have to keep them going.
And Councillor Pastoraro, to answer your question about why parking meters in the downtown, a lot of the businesses had complained previously that without having parking meters, that some of the tenants in the upstairs apartments were taking over those spaces so that the merchants didn't have a place for their patrons to park their cars. So the parking meters act as a deterrent for long-term use of parking, and this helps the merchants out. So hopefully that answers your question. And over to Councillor Betty Ann Dunbar.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. My question is, when I'm looking at, I don't know if it's a question or a comment, but when I'm looking at this, at the cost of each meter and the electronics involved, it kind of scares me, because if we don't have people within the area to actually do the maintenance on the electronics parts of it, and then there's the extra cost of paper and the $40 a month for monitoring, or 55 or whatever it is. It just seems excessive for a parking meter for the amount of money that we get in return. So that's just my comment. Thank you.
Councillor Roy, followed by Councillor Jim Dunbar.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Just to give you a little history, it wasn't just the tenants we were having problems with. We were having problems with a lot of the business owners parking on the street. They may park in front of somebody else's store, but they were parking on the street, and that would take up room for the day. I don't see a benefit to this. I personally rather just see the parking meter there. I mean, what if somebody doesn't see the ticket machine down the street, doesn't go down and get that ticket, and then they get ticketed, right? And who's at fault? Is it us for not being able to, at each location, we would almost have to put a sign saying, go look for the ticket machine down the street, you know? And again, with the as far as anybody who has is physically handicapped, you know, that has to use either a walker, you know, a cane, anything, a wheelchair, it's going to be an accessibility issue. So I do have an issue with that. I understand that Public Works is, you know, they have to plow around it, but I don't know. It all have to be where located and how much signage we have is what I'm thinking.
Ms. Scott would like to respond to your comment, Councillor Roy, and as well as our Director of Protective Services, and then over to Councillor Jim Dunbar.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Just to you, Councillor Roy, just for clarification, anyone who has an accessibility sticker in their window does not pay for parking at any time. There's no fine for their space. As long as they have an accessibility sticker in their window, there's no fee.
Great. But if I'm parked at one end of the street and that ticket machine's halfway down the street and I don't know about these things, I get ticketed. You know,
it would be similar to the city of Sault Ste. Marie, the city of Sudbury, you know, larger centers. I know that a lot of other areas are considering it. So we would definitely look into the parking and have that advised and have a campaign out that if that is the way council chose to move forward.
Okay.
Mr. Raymond, is there anything you'd like to add?
No, I was going to say the same thing about the parking. If anybody disabled, they don't have to pay with the sticker.
Thank you for that. Councillor Jim Dunbar.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I think I hold some of the same sentiments as some of the other councillors here. I think the complication here is becoming maybe the problem. I go to a local gas station and it's all self-serve, and I'm looking for my receipts and there's no paper in the machines anymore. So this type of meter where it's running out of paper, I mean, just out of curiosity, this is to Ken, this machine runs out of paper. Are you electronically notified it's out of paper, or now as citizen Jim Dunbar calling up the town saying, excuse me, you're out of paper over at so and such? I just think it's getting a little complicated.
For you, Madam Mayor, it does tell you when the machine is full of coin, and it will tell you when the paper is running low. So that's when you'll have to go out to the machine. Right now, we go out once a week to collect the money and then count the change. This way, we may not have to go out until maybe every second week if people are paying with credit card instead of cash or coins. So we may have less time used collecting the money, but it does tell us when we have to collect it, the amount that's in it, and when we have to change the paper.
And if I may, Madam Mayor, just follow up. Yeah, and that's another thing. I mean, and that now we're including paper. What's this paper cost? Is the paper all coming in free, you know, to these meters, Ken? Or, I mean, the way I look at it is simpler here might be better. That's just my comment on this year proposal.
For you, Madam Mayor, I don't know what the cost of the paper is. This was just to bring it to council to see if this was the way we wanted to go, to change and clean up Main Street.
Deputy Mayor Paulo Summers.
Just a couple of comments. First of all, we are actually asking them to do some research on here. We're not actually saying we're going to do it, for one thing. Secondly, by the time the bylaw officer walks up and down the street collecting the money once a week or whatever it is that he's doing, that's costing money too. So it's probably in one hand out the other. I'm not too sure if it's going to be exactly the same, but it is a consideration as well. It does cost money now to maintain these meters as well. And that's something we have to think about as well. Thank you.
Councillor Betty Ann Dunbar, followed by Councillor Stephen Wells. Your
You're
mute is
muted.
on.
Sorry. Do you know how many that you would like to have? You know, you're going to start with 2. Is that it? Or how many of these meters would you like to have?
For you, Madam Mayor, we are only looking at 2 for the Main Street area. We may have to, we've been collecting the money from the meters separately. So we do Main Street, we do Woodward, and we do Murray and Lawton to just see where we're getting money. We're not collecting anything on Woodward from where you turn on to Woodward, because there are no businesses that way except for the hairdresser right now. So we're not collecting a lot of there. Our main area that we're collecting from is Main Street itself, and then up towards the post office on that street. So if we could put them in the area where they'd just be covering those 2 areas, I'm sure 2 would be more than enough. If you're putting them in the middle of the street, you've got to remember it's not very far from each side of the street and you won't have to cross the street if there's one on each side.
Thank you.
Councillor Stephen Wells.
Thank you, Mayor Hagman. Like Deputy Mayor Summers, I'd just like to note that this motion is just a recommendation that we research the replacement and that we would look into the impact on the 2023 budget. Personally, I don't object to further research. So I guess hearing the council discussion, I'm going to ask for a recorded vote on this.
Duly noted. Thank you, Councillor Wells. Councillor Posterero, did you have anything you wish to add?
Kind of, but I didn't know if it was too off topic. So there was talk about basically only going to the meters once a week to collect the coins. And then this would reduce costs because we'd only have to go to the meters, the Tango meters, less frequently. But do we not also pay to have a bylaw enforcement officer monitor those daily? Because if we're not monitoring that people are actually using the system, what's the point of the system? So, because if the bylaw officer only goes out once a week, then, you know, well, 6 days of the week, I can just not put money in the meter. So I'm just wondering, do we not have a bylaw officer that's out there daily that is enforcing this collection of funds to park?
For you, Madam Mayor, the once a week is just to take the money out. We have scheduled one every day at a different time for him to go through Monday to Friday, so that we're not going at the same time every time to to actually write tickets. So we do go through a schedule and we schedule a different time for each day.
Thank you for that. And seeing no other hands going up, I will ask Ms. Scott to do a recorded vote.
Deputy Mayor Summers,
In favor.
Deputy Mayor, or sorry, Councillor Betty Ann Dunbar,
Not in favor.
Councillor Jim Dunbar,
Opposed?
Councillor Stephen Wells,
In favor.
Councillor HP Roy,
I'm opposed.
Councillor Jennifer Pastorero,
Opposed.
Mayor Hagman,
In favor.
and that's defeated.
And thank you, council. Moving on, again, under the Director of Protective Services, Blind River Ontario Health and Safety Program 2022. I have a motion from Councillor Jim Dunbar, seconded by Deputy Mayor Paula Summers. Whereas the town of Blind River is committed to provide a safe working environment for all of its employees, therefore be it resolved that council adopt the Blind River Health and Safety Program in its entirety as recommended by the Protective Services Committee. Questions, comments? Seeing none, all in favor of this motion? And that's carried. Thank you. And we have no unfinished business or correspondence for action. So under correspondence for information, North Shore Power Group had their board meeting February 16th. Are there any questions on the agenda provided? Seeing none. February 17th, as mentioned in my address tonight, the Canadian Nuclear Safety Commission record of decision for Cameco was presented. And it is a very interesting report. Are there any questions on the report? Seeing none, moving on, we had no notices of motion, so we will move on to introduction and consideration of our bylaws. The first bylaw, 2211, is on the NOHFC agreement. This was moved by Councillor Betty Ann Dunbar, seconded by Councillor Jennifer Pastorero. Be it resolved that council authorize the mayor and CAO clerk to sign bylaw 22-11, being a bylaw of the Corporation of the Town of Blind River, to enter into an agreement with the Northern Ontario Heritage Fund Corporation for upgrades and improvements to the Marine Park was passed in open council this 22nd day of February 2022. Questions, comments? Councillor Pastorero?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Just a quick comment. I just wanted to thank staff so much, especially Karen Bettner, who does such an amazing job at applying for these grants. And yet again is saving the town of Blind River hundreds of thousands of dollars to invest in our beautiful little town. So thank you.
And council echoes your sentiments. Thank you. Any other questions or comments? Seeing none, all in favor of this motion? And that's carried. And we have the fireworks bylaw coming forward. And I have a motion from Deputy Mayor Paula Summers, seconded by Councillor HP Roy. Be it resolved that council authorize the mayor and CAO clerk to sign bylaw 22-04, being a bylaw of the Corporation of the Town of Blind River, to prohibit and regulate the sale and use of fireworks and pyrotechnic special effects within the town of Blind River, was passed in open council this 22nd day of February 2022. Comments, questions, discussion? Councillor HP Roy, followed by Councillor Jim Dunbar, followed by Councillor Jennifer Pastorero.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I think it's just a wording issue that I'm having problems with. I'm on page 3, number 3, under sale and possession of consumer fireworks. It says no person shall only sell fireworks that are included. Like, it just seems muddled. I don't know what, like, it should be a person should only sell fireworks. It says no person shall. It just seemed muddled. I don't know. Could you read it? Maybe it's just not making sense to me. Page
No.
3, number 3.
I was going to say, you know, these Waldos are put out there so that people are, to ensure that council's reading the document.
I just want to let you know I did read it.
I can tell. Page 3, you're saying?
Page 3, number 3, sale and possession. The first wording under A is no person shall only sell fireworks that are included on the most recent list. Should
Right.
it be a person or a vendor shall only sell?
I do believe that the word only could be removed.
No
For
shirts.
you, Madam Mayor, that's what I was gonna say, remove the only.
Something, yeah,
Remove
Yeah.
the only.
okay. Everything else I'm fine with. I did read it. So,
That's
Thank you.
great. Thank you for that. And Councillor Jim Dunbar, the Councillor Fosterell, Councillor Stephen Wells.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I want to thank Ken and the group who went back there, and I saw the amendments where you could purchase a firework permit for special occasions besides the 2 or 3 days that was implemented from the first round of the reports here. I guess my question is, am I able to purchase this here fireworks permit online like the rest of the stuff here for the town of Blind River? Can I go into the website to purchase this?
For you, Madam Mayor. So what we're going to do with this one, instead of having a separate area, we're going to use our fire permits. And it says special event, we're going to put in a fireworks permit. So yes, they will be able to apply for them online like they're doing for a firework or for a fire permit. They'll just have to put in that they want a fireworks permit.
Thank you for that. And Councillor Wells?
Thank you, Mayor Hagman. I'd like to go back to Councillor Roy's observation with regard to number 3. I think maybe it should read, no person shall sell fireworks that are not included on the most recent list. Mr. Raymond, would you like to comment on that maybe? I think the intent is to restrict the sale of fireworks that are not approved.
I think it should be unauthorized. No person shall store.
Just say not included on.
Recent list.
I agree with you, Councillor Wells. The word not
Yes.
would make it clearer.
So we can make that change before it.
You know you have retired English teacher here, so checking up on you. Thank you for that, Councillor Wells. Councillor Fosterero.
Well, that was okay, because I was going to ask the exact same question that Councillor Jim Dunbar asked, because I appreciated the amendments, and I was just going to ask how one would go about applying for a permit. So that
Great.
has been answered.
Great. I'm seeing no other hands going up. Well, Councillor Jim Dunbar, go ahead.
Thanks, Madam Mayor. Just out of curiosity, Ken, what is a prohibited firecracker?
Most of the ones are the ones from the States, and those, I guess you'd call them cherry bombs. The actual little firecrackers like the sticks are not allowed in Canada. And there's a whole list of cherry bombs, a whole bunch of them that are not allowed in Canada. So those are the ones you can't sell.
Okay, well, as a kid, I used to get the little stick ones.
Yeah, so did I in a big long line.
Yeah, you break them apart. Are those illegal?
Yes, they are. We don't make the rules. We just have to follow them.
It's amazing we survived our childhood. Are there any other questions or comments?
Pardon me, Madam Mayor, I can't hear you.
Seeing none, all in favor of this motion? And that is carried. Bylaw 22-17, the repeal bylaw 619, public auctions. I have a motion from Councillor Jim Dunbar, seconded by Councillor Stephen Wells. Be it resolved that council authorize the mayor and CAO clerk to sign bylaw 22-17, being a bylaw of the corporation of the town of Blind River, to repeal bylaw 619 prohibiting private or public auctions within the town of Blind River, was passed in open council this 22nd day of February 2022. Questions, comments? Councillor Roy.
Two things. At first, when I first read this, I thought it was part of this bylaw, but I guess not, because it was 1957. So I probably wasn't there. But I thought we dealt with this way back when we had somebody come in, auction off. It might not have been auction, it may have been more of a furniture sale back probably 10 years ago or thereabouts, maybe 8 years ago. I thought we had dealt with it. Just wondering.
Ms. Scott is aware of the situation and will respond.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Through you, Councillor Roy. Yes, this was brought to council for approval for the one-time event because our bylaw prohibited having the auctions. So council did approve it on the one-time event. So this would be addressing should it come forward again.
Okay.
Councillor Posterero.
More of a comment. Just looking at that 1957, it's like, so has this ever been enforced? Because especially with the lovely world of World Wide Web, people are auctioning every day within the town of Blind River. So they would be contravening this bylaw. So yes, it's time to be repealed.
Thank you for that. Any other comments? Seeing none, all in favor of this motion? And that's carried. Thank you. And last but not least, on our consideration of bylaws, I have a motion. Let's see.
Shouldn't be last, Sally, or
No,
Madam Mayor.
Sorry, second last, sorry. I have a motion from Councillor Posterero, seconded by Councillor Roy. This one is in reference to 2218, that council authorized the mayor and CAO clerk to sign bylaw 22-18, being a bylaw of the corporation of the town of Blind River, to enter into an agreement with Her Majesty the Queen in the right of Ontario as represented by the Minister of Northern Development, Mines, Natural Resources and Forestry for funding under the Northern Ontario Reserve Development Support Fund, was passed in open council this 22nd day of February 2022. Questions, comments? All in favor of this motion? And that's carried. Thank you. Under delegation of authority for the 2022 election, I have a motion from Deputy Mayor Summers, seconded by Councillor Betty Ann Dunbar. Be it resolved that council authorize the mayor and CAO clerk to sign bylaw 22-19, being a bylaw of the corporation of the town of Blind River, to delegate certain authority to the CAO clerk during the election period, was passed in open council this 22nd day of February 2022. Questions, comments? Seeing none, all in favor of this motion? And that's carried. Thank you. And last but not least, I have a motion under the agreement with Bednar. This motion is moved by Councillor Jim Dunbar, seconded by Councillor H.P. Roy. Be it resolved that council authorize the mayor and CAO clerk to sign bylaw 22-20, being a bylaw of the corporation of the town of Blind River, to enter into an agreement with Federal Economic Development Agency for Northern Ontario as represented by the Minister of Indigenous Services and Minister responsible for the Federal Economic Development Agency for Northern Ontario for the Accessible Marine Park Upgrades Project, was passed in open council this 22nd day of February 2022. Questions, comments? Seeing none, all in favor of this motion? And that's carried. Thank you. And I received no council reports or announcements. And as I mentioned at the beginning, there was not an addendum. So I have a motion from Councillor Stephen Wells, seconded by Deputy Mayor Paula Summers. Be it resolved that council go into the closed meeting at 7:54 p.m. in accordance with section 239 of the Municipal Act in order to address matters pertaining to personnel and proposed or pending acquisition of land. All in favor of this motion? And that is carried. I thank the public for being with us during this time. We will be back as soon as our closed meeting ends and we resume the public meeting. Thanks, everyone. I will welcome everyone back to the open meeting. And I have a motion from Deputy Mayor Summers, seconded by Councillor Stephen Wells. Be it resolved that council resume the open meeting at 8:54 p.m. All in favor of this motion? And that is carried. And council discussed professional opinions as well as committee appointments and personnel matters while in closed. And I have a motion from Councillor Roy, seconded by Councillor Stephen Wells. Be it resolved that council authorize the CAO clerk to sign a memorandum of understanding with the municipality of Huron Shores for the bylaw enforcement shared services, and that the CAO clerk be authorized to negotiate the hours. Questions, comments? All in favor of this motion? And that is carried. And I have a motion from Deputy Mayor Summers, seconded by Councillor Stephen Wells. Be it resolved that council appoint Councillor Betty Ann Dunbar to the Blind River Development Corporation Board, the Library Board, the Chamber, and the Community Improvement Program. All in favor of this motion? And that's carried. Thank you. And I have a motion from Councillor Jim Dunbar, seconded by Councillor Jennifer Postorero. Be it resolved that council authorize the mayor and CAO clerk to sign bylaw 22-21, being a bylaw of the corporation of the town of Blind River, to adopt the minutes of the meeting of the regular council meeting held February 22nd, 2022, and the minutes of the public meeting held February 7th, 2022, was passed in open council this 22nd day of February, 2022. All in favor of this motion? And that's carried. Make sure I don't have any papers in my papers. They're sticking. Last but not least, I have a motion from Councillor Betty Ann Dunbar, seconded by Councillor H.P. Roy. Be it resolved that council adjourn the meeting at 8:57 p.m. All in favor of this motion? And that is carried. Thanks, everyone. Meeting is adjourned. Have a great night.
Thank you.